And we are live, Abu Jamaar. We are live. Live,
Yes,
live, live. Tonight is going to be fun. I'm with Abu Jamaar, who is also my homie, my brother, my friend.
absolutely,
Jamar.
absolutely.
Jamar and I be kicking it, when we not at the shrine.
Facts. That's
You
the homie.
understand? And
That's
yeah,
sis.
that's right. Jamar has my back, y'all, for real. I love this man. He's a good brother. For real, for real. So we're gonna have fun. We are gonna be talking about the Zodiac, the Wheel of Dendera. Why do you believe what you believe about your sign? Like, I'm a Pisces, so I do this. Or, those Scorpios or whatever. Like, where'd that come from? I'm sure by now y'all know that African people did it first. So come on in and tell me where you are coming in from. Where are you? Who are you? Where you coming in from? Put it in the chat and let's say what's up. Make sure we shouting folks out. Where you from? Put it in the chat. Let's see who is here in the house. Tonight's gonna be a lot of fun. Am I on the wrong screen? Because I don't see anything in the chat. Jamar, do you see stuff in the chat? There we go. There we go. I see 13 eyeballs on here. Put in the chat where you're from, where you are right now. I'm in New York City right now. It's where I live. I am from Hartford, Connecticut. Born and raised, baby, from Hartford, Connecticut. I see Damo Antoine from Chicago. What up, Chi-Town?
Put that
How
link
is
in the
home?
feed too.
What'd you say?
Put that link in the feed. I'm gonna share it on the page so everybody could come through.
Okay, the link. All right, let me do that. The link to hold on. This is gonna take a little bit. Cause you mean you want some people to come on as guests?
No. Just to come on and see and view the show. There should be a
Oh,
link on the bottom of the feed on the street, y'all. It should show you a
okay.
link down there somewhere to share.
Where is my link? I'm gonna grab the link right quick, y'all. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Is that it? Hold on.
If not, I can grab the YouTube link. Let me see.
You can grab you want to grab it? What are we gonna do? The YouTube public, the Shrine of Ma'at YouTube's page?
Yeah,
You gonna grab it?
I grab it.
You got it? All right, good. As you can see, Jamar helps me with my technology. I see Jason Holmes, one of our members, Ankh and Ma'at family. He is in Lincoln, Nebraska, but he is from East St. Louis. What's up? What's up, Ankh and Ma'at, Jason? Joanne Jahia DC is from Columbus, Georgia. Thank you for joining. I see Sinette Cheryl. Ankh and Ma'at, Sinette Cheryl. Ankh and Ma'at, she is in the DMV area. She is a part of my Tuesday Talk team. She's behind the scenes helping it run smoothly. So thank you, Cheryl, for being here today. Sen Lee can't make it tonight, but Sen Lee, he is also part of my Tuesday Talk team. And Sean, he can't make it tonight, but he is also part of the Tuesday Talk team. So thank you for them. Shout out to them. We have Shahid Douglas, Udja Seneb from the Lou, baby. He's from St. Louis. Thank you for joining us, Shahid. We got Gada Nation. I am Kemet King, and he is from Haiti, now living in Holland. Welcome, welcome. Put in the chat what time it is over there. That's got to be midnight or something. It's got to be late. Really and truly, thank you for joining us. I see Detron Williams from Greenville, North Carolina. Thank you for joining us. I'm in New York City, where you'll hear a few fire trucks. I hear fire trucks every night, and I'm wondering which part of New York is still not burnt down, because I hear fire trucks every night, like every night. And I live over top of Bodega, right? Ask me when they close. Midnight, because I hear when they put the little garage door down or whatever it's called. And then during the week, they open at 6 a.m. because that wakes me up. And then on the weekends, they open at 7 a.m. And it's like, y'all, I'm gonna just roll with my little 6 to 7 hours. I want to say Ankh and Ma'at to Sen William Humphrey, he is the Jati in Phoenix, Arizona. He is a member of the Shrine of Ma'at. Thank you for joining us tonight, Sen William. And of course, we see Jamar Milton. Jamar is in the house. He's our guest tonight. And I just want to say, Jamar and I met through priesthood training. Let me go back. Jamar and I met through initiation, and he was super dope then, mad cool, all of that. And we went through priesthood training together, and all of us, all 9 of us, have gotten a lot close, have gotten close because of our experience as being priests. And Jamar was there for me in a lot of ways, like a true brother. So tonight is going to be a whole lot of fun. So let's jump into tonight. We're going to shout out, the Schaefer. Shout out the Schaefers who are in Ghana. What time is it in Ghana? Put it in the chat. It's late. Put it in the chat. I see Atun Amin Ra. Ankh Ma'at Abet checking in from Chicago. So we have 2 people that I see who are from Chicago. And Atun Amin Ra is a member of the Shrine of Ma'at. And so are the Schaefers. Sorry. They are also members of the Shrine. So we are going to get started with tonight's topic, where we're going to be talking about the Wheel of Dendera. Put in the chat if you've heard about the Wheel of Dendera. And if you have, what about it have you heard? Put in the chat, what is the Zodiac? Put your sign in the chat. Everybody, put your sign in the chat. Y'all done told me where you from. Put your sign in the chat. I'm a Libra. I'm a September Libra. So I think I'm cute because I'm a September Libra, baby. What's up? Shout out to all the Libras. Oh my goodness. I feel like a club party DJ. We are actually going to get into the session. But if we put these in the chat, we can get some conversations going. Okay. All right. All right. I see Detron Williams is a Libra. He's an October 11th Libra. And at the Schaefer say it's 2:30 a.m. out in Egypt. Okay. Wow. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Thank you. Ghana Nation, how can you get some comedic protection? Player, we can talk about that at the end. We're going to take all your questions. We're going to take that at the end. So circle back with your question, Ghana Nation. Oh, I just see that. The Haitian and Nation. Okay, I see it. I see what you did with that. All right, so I'm going to turn the wheel over to, pardon the pun, over to Jamar. Jamar, what's up? How you doing tonight?
Uncle Ma'at, all is well. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got my little candle going. I got my Ankh.
that's
Got
what's
my
up.
Ankh nearby.
Yeah,
So I'm feeling good.
talk about it. I'm excited. To talk about the subject matter. I'm always excited to talk about Kemet in general. Always looking for opportunities to, share the legacy with the people, and hopefully open some minds today. Hopefully, you guys will learn something today that you didn't know, and be able to share it with others. That's the main thing is, each one teach one, so that we might reach one. So, that's the goal here tonight.
That's right. So Jamar, let's start out pretty general. Before we even get into Dendera and the Wheel of Dendera, what are zodiac signs? What's the zodiac?
Well, for most of us who live according to astronomy, right? Which is simply the study of the stars and how it correlates to people. Many of us have a sign that we say. When you're in the club and somebody says, "Hey, what's your sign?" They're talking about your zodiac sign, right?
Right.
So, these particular signs correspond to constellations in the stars and how we respond to their positioning in the constellations in the universe. So, for many of us, however, and what we're going to reveal tonight and hopefully help everyone to understand is that the majority of people who follow the zodiac are following it incorrectly, and I'm going to show you why. And then I'm going to show you, then I'm going to tell you how to accurately do this the right way. Okay, so we're going to ruffle a lot of feathers tonight, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. Okay, because it'll be backed with truth and the artifacts. So let's take a look into this really quick. Most people don't know where the zodiac comes from. Like why do we have these different signs? Like when you're born, why are you born under a certain sign? Right? Why is it that particular sign? right? We kind of take on these different personality traits based upon these signs. And it's important to know that the original aspect of it and the original theme of it was not for us to mimic, um, a certain code, but it was actually a survival mechanism more than it was a personality characteristic. Okay, so we're going to talk about that um, as we get into it. So now, Dendera, what we're talking about tonight, the Dendera wheel, is actually located in Egypt in a city called Kina. It's a little bit outside of Thebes, okay, and um, it's not next to the pyramids. It's, you got to understand that. Like, a lot of people think like all this stuff is just in Egypt and it's just like one big happy place, almost like Disneyland. No,
Mhm.
you have to travel many miles to get to this temple, what some may call the Temple of Het Heru, Temple of Dendera. Now, there are a lot of different things that are in this temple other than the Dendera wheel. I mean, this temple is probably the most preserved temple in Kemet. Going to this temple, many people who have visited will tell you that many of them have had experiences, spiritual experiences, specifically in this temple, because much of the meta nectar still remains, much of the images still remains. And by tapping into these different images, it takes us someplace. We have a connection with it. Our DNA is connected to those people who created these things. So when we deal with the actual image of the Dendera, it's hard not to talk about Dendera and not talk about the other things that are there, because there's so many things within this temple, and we could do a whole lesson just on all the other things as well. But specifically, when we're dealing with Dendera, Dendera was located on the ceiling of the temple. Now, explorers came in and they literally blew these things off the wall with like dynamite, with TNT, to get to it. When they excavated it, they sent it, to their kings, so on and so forth, as presents. At one point, it was even sold back to its original owners, to Egypt. Once the person who stole it came back and said, "Hey, I stole it," and they sold it back. It was crazy. But in any case, and I think it was like for 150,000 francs that they sold this thing back to its original owners for. But in any case, let's delve into the imagery here. I want to see if I can share my screen so we could actually take a look at it.
Mhm.
Let me pull it up really quick. Now you're going to see several different images pertaining to this. I want to pull up some of my favorite ones. Oh, I can present slides on this thing. Let me see here. Hold on. Because I have no slides. Let's go to my computer and see if I can do that. That would be really nice if I can actually present them as slides. So give me a second, family.
Mhm.
Give me a second. I just want to see if I can do that. If not, I'll just share my screen. I think it's probably better to share the screen.
Share the screen. Okay.
It's probably quicker. All right. So let's go with this one. All right. Can everybody see this?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got to put it in the actual feed. It's down there on the bottom. Can you see it? Just click it.
It's in the feed.
Yeah. It was added to the stream.
Oh, as a
Adding it.
guest. Oh, there we go. Boom. My bad. Add to stream. There we go.
Okay. Now it looks something like this. This is a bit blurry because it was a smaller file, but this is kind of the imagery that you're going to see. I want to see if I can get a clearer one up here to show you guys. But it looks something like this on the walls. Now, if we were to color it, let me pull up a colored version of it. Because from that, you can't really see much. If you were actually just looking at it, you wouldn't really be able to see what all the details are. So here's a colored version of it. Okay, can everybody see that?
There we go. I just added it.
Perfect.
That's beautiful. Can y'all? I hope y'all can see that. Jamar, this was good because you can move that around when you focus in on certain parts.
Yeah. So now it doesn't. Let me see if this doesn't. Did it go off? It came
Yeah,
back.
it went off.
Okay. Yeah. So I can't exit off. I'm just gonna bring it back up there for a second, really quick.
Yep.
I just want to see some of the things that I can do here, so I can effectively show you guys what we need to look at.
Take your time, brother. Take your time. Take your
Yeah.
time, Pastor.
Because this thing is deeper than what most people think, and this is important to demonstrate. All right. So cool. Everybody can see it now, right?
It's not back there, Jamar.
It's not back yet? Okay.
You got to put it back.
There we go.
Boom. Hold on. And boom. Add to stream. It's up now.
All right, cool. So, so what I want you guys to do, first and foremost, is to get an understanding why this was created, what it was created for, because then we can start to delve into the magic of who these people were that created it. Now, I want you to just, for a second, I want all of you, everybody that's on this feed, just take a second and close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that you are the first man or woman on the planet. Take a second. You're the first man or woman on the planet. You are in Africa, somewhere in a garden, in a jungle, in a beautiful, beautiful landscape, right? You don't know how you got there, but you're there. Now, as the first being on the planet, what is the first thing you're going to do within probably 3 to 4 hours time? I'll tell you.
Okay.
You're probably going to look for something to eat.
Facts. That's what I was thinking.
Right?
Right.
You're going to use the bathroom, or you're going to look for something to eat. Right? After wandering around gets old and you realize, okay, I'm tired, you're going to have to get something to eat at some point in time. Day one. Day one. Right?
Right.
You don't have that much time to waste. Day one, you got to find something to eat. You got to find some food. So we know if we dealt with the first human being, one of the first sciences that you would have gotten into was botany. Right?
Right. The plants
botany.
Around you.
Right? First science, you're going to study the plants, right? First thing, you're going to start testing out different plants, different fruit. So the first thing you're going to learn is botany, planting, right? Now, as you're doing this and you're realizing that agriculture is very, very important to you, right? You're going to realize that your plants come and go in seasons as time goes on, right? But this is all through trial and error,
right?
You ain't just figure this out on day one. It takes time to figure out that A, there are seasons, and that B, these plants respond to these different seasons. They come and go. Could you imagine the first time you realize that a plant, the thing that's sustaining you in life, dies in the winter? Imagine the panic.
Right.
Just imagine what you would go through at that moment in time when you realize your food is gone. Right? So you realize right out the gate that the most important thing for you is maintaining this infrastructure of agriculture and your food coming back. You may start to delve and eat other things because this plant is no longer there. Okay, so it's not the season for that. I'll go and deal with this plant now. It's sustaining me, right? So delving into this process over and over and over again, right? Before you master it, it's going to take probably hundreds of thousands of years to master. We're talking about a whole planet here. We're talking about Africa, right? How long you actually have to sit in there to understand what is happening and see the repetition of these seasons.
That's right.
It has to go from one generation to the next.
That's right.
Right? Because you got to teach your children to carry it on after you've learned a little something over the however long you've been here, 100 years, whatever. If you made it that far, they didn't live that long during those times. So you had to learn this fairly quickly. You didn't have time, right? And you had to pass it generationally and teach it, right? Fairly quickly on how to plant crops, right? How to reap what it is that you're sowing. First thing. Now, the second thing you're going to learn is, right, that this day that you've been here doesn't last forever. The sun will eventually set, right? Let's go back to day one. You've already learned that you get hungry. You might have found something to eat, a piece of fruit, right? But then at some point in time, you notice that the sun begins to set. When the sun sets, right, you realize that at some point the sun rises again. So now there's this cycle that you're realizing is happening. At some point in time, Ra is going to rise again. You're going to start looking forward to Ra rising again. Why? You can't hunt at night. You won't be able to find your food.
That's
Right?
right.
You can't tell what plants to eat at night. Everything is black at night. You have to do this during the day. So you're looking forward to Ra coming so you can see what's going on. You don't have to worry. You can see the animals coming that are a threat, right? All different things that are depending upon sunlight and how it moves, right? Now, as you realize these seasons, you're also realizing that the sun, right, has distance. Sometimes it's closer, sometimes it's further away, right? These are all different things that you'll pick up, but you don't pick it up immediately. And this is the thing that I want to make sure that we stress today. You're not going to pick this up on day one. I want you to think about how old you are right now, right? Do any of you, anybody on this feed, has anybody stopped, took a look at the stars and started drawing them out? I'll wait. Anybody tried it? Anybody sat outside and actually drew star for star, each star that you saw? Does anybody have a grid or a book full of all their research of the stars and what they've tracked out and how the stars is doing it? Right? So if you go back to those times, at some point in time, they realize that, you know what? This is happening in cycles, and we need to jot down what's happening to us here so that when it comes back around again, we'll be ready for it.
Right.
Right? We'll be ready for it. There's a flood that happens once a year. We need to track that. Why? Because the flood in Egypt was very, very important. Why? Because it nourished the soil. Why was that important? Because a nourished soil is what brings us our crops. You see where we're going with this, right? So no matter what, you could not get away from this process. You couldn't get away from this system of our vitality and how we take care of ourselves, right? So moving on. Now we get to the point where we realize that mathematics is important, right? Being able to measure distance is important, right? Then we get to the stars. So now we have the three sciences already that we can play with. We started off with botany, that turned into mathematics, which turned into astrology, right? So you have three of the main sciences that we're dealing with here. This is before we ever get to a Dendera. The Dendera is after we've been tracking it for a minimum of 104,000 years. Because an orbit of the sun, you're looking at least 26,000 years. You would have to do that at least 4 times in order to recognize the cycle and jot it down. So now when somebody comes and tells you, oh yeah, you know, human beings, we've only been here for 6,000 years. Huh?
Stop. Pause.
We can stop there. That's the, you can get the organ now and do your dance. Because at this point in time, you now realize how long Black people have been here. Just from this artifact alone.
Speak.
It crushes any religion that ever existed. That's the first part. Right? It also shows how smart we are, how we were able to figure this out. I haven't even explained to you what Dendera is yet, and you already can see the power in it. We're just talking about the Zodiac part because there's more to it than just the Zodiac. More to it. When you're looking at the Dendera, right, the inner workings of the Dendera, you can see all the different signs of the Zodiac in it. The things that we talk about, right? When we say you're a Libra, you're a Pisces, you're a Taurus, all the different images that come with that and the different animals that we pertain to those different things correspond to constellations symbolically within the sky. And you can see, if you look at the Dendera, the picture here in the image, you can see all those different images within there. Now, some of them you might say, well, some of them are missing. The reason why some of them are missing, or it seems to be that they're missing, is because they're actually different symbols that represent them in that time. If we're dealing with Kemet, right? So in here, you can see the lion, right? Can you guys see the lion, which represents Leo? You can see that
Can you
at the
zoom
top left.
in when
Can
you
I
do
zoom in a
this?
little bit? Let me see.
Yeah, zoom in on those particular parts. Yeah, there we
Okay.
go.
Can you guys see?
We can see it, but can you guide us to exactly where we
Is
want
it
to look?
zooming?
Yeah, it's zooming.
Okay, so you can see here, right? It gets blurry as I zoom in, but you can
Okay,
see the
right,
lion. Can you see
right.
that? Can you see the scorpion and the Libra scales right next to it? Do you see that in yellow? They're all in
Yes,
yellow.
Libra.
Come
Yes,
on, right? You see Sagittarius right there with the bow and arrow on the horse. With the horse, can you see that? Can you see the Pisces with the fish?
yes,
Right? Can you see
yes.
that? They're all there. Taurus, right? Here is Aquarius. That's the water bearer. The water bearer. Now, the water bearer is a funny situation, but that's a whole nother subject. We'll get into that later on. But the water bearer is the age of Aquarius. Many people say that we're in the age of Aquarius, which represents information, right? Many people say that the age of Aquarius, the water represents knowledge, and this is the age of knowledge and information, right? So now all of that is cool. That's the zodiac, right? That's the tropical zodiac. That's what a lot of us judge personalities by, right? By different characteristics that come along with that. And I'll talk about why those different characteristics are attached to that in a minute. But another thing that is in the Dendera that people don't talk about is the lunar zodiac. What we just talked about is the solar zodiac, meaning the constellations of the sun. But the sun, contrary to popular belief, doesn't affect us as much as the moon. The moon is closer to Earth than the sun. The moon is what is in charge of how the tides of the waters flow. Many women's menstrual cycles are directly affected by the moon and its cycles, as you may know. So this is one of the things that I think in our teaching of Zodiac that they are purposefully overlooking is what the moon does to us, the power of lunar energy. Because on this zodiac wheel, they made sure to make sure that they provided balance. If you're going to talk to us about solar energy, you have to talk to us about lunar energy. They are polar opposites, and we don't do anything that is out of balance or out of ma'at.
That's
How
right.
do you mention the divine masculine energy, but you don't mention the divine feminine energy? Y'all know we plays no game with that.
That's a
You
fact.
have to, right? So it mentions the 10 mansions. In Christianity, they say, my father is a father of many mansions. Do you know why they say that? Because it represents the son. The father is the son, right? But the father also has many mansions. They're talking about lunar cycles when they say mansions. These are scientific terms for the location of where the sun is. They're called mansions. Or where the moon is, they're called mansions. Where the sun is, they call it houses. You see? They say, have you walked through this house? Have you walked through that house? When they say zodiac, when they're talking about zodiac. So the sun correlates to houses, but the moon correlates to mansions. So moving on, you'll see that they are what they call these deacons, right? There are also these deacons that they call, and I'm sorry, I said 10, it's actually 30, 28 to 30, right? But they also have these deacons, right? And the deacons represent these different stars, these stars that pop up during the day briefly. They disappear at night, and just before dawn, they pop up again. Okay. These stars are also listed on the zodiac, on this wheel, as you can see. You see all those little circles? These are all different stars. Call them deacons. Deacons, the same deacons in church when they call them deacons. Yeah, this is where they're getting these terms from, because originally all of this was about the zodiac. The biblical texts The majority of it is about the zodiac. Now, what we've just explained is the wheel, listen to my terminology, in the middle of the wheel. I know you've heard that term before. The wheel in the middle of the wheel. Here, you see all different sets of wheels here. We just talked about the zodiac, which is in the middle, but there's more.
Can you zoom in a little tiny bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, if you see here, all of this is zodiac. So solar and lunar zodiacs. All these different symbols here. You'll find every single zodiac in here somewhere, depending upon which one you're looking for. But then there's an outer wheel. There's an outer wheel, right? Before we get to the outer wheel, there's an inner outer wheel. Can you see the different images here of the people in the outer wheel? These aren't zodiacs. What are they?
Neteru.
Oh. Do you know what they are?
They're Neteru.
Can you see the different stars here? Right?
Oh,
right? These are all the other stars that correspond that aren't a part of the zodiac. Everything's not a part of the zodiac in the sky. There's all different other stars. And what do these stars tell us? Somebody said, where can you see this chart? Honestly, you can Google this because this is pretty public knowledge. If you Google Dendera, right? Everybody can go to Google right now and Google Dendera wheel. And you'll find an image somewhere in there just like this, fully colored. Okay. The actual artifact family is located in the Louvre. It's one of the biggest museums, museums containing Kemetic material, besides the Met, right? And of course the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. But that's where the original artifact is located. You'll find different versions of this or like plastered replicas in many other museums. But the real original one is in the Louvre. Okay. Now, these other beings that you see that are in white that surround this circle here on the outermost of this circle that you're seeing right here, the outer part of this circle, these represent other stars, but also it tells you when to reap and when to sow. It's giving you farming instructions. That's what this wheel was created for. So how do we get, right, from actually before we even get there, I still have to explain the outermost wheel, right? Which is as you can see here, the 4 women holding up the wheel, right? And the other 8 holding up the wheel, right? They kind of look like Asar in there. I mean, Heru, right? These different people holding up the wheel represent the months of the year, right? I want to see if I can, do I have another image? Let's see if I have another image. I thought I did, but I don't think I do. Okay, yeah, so cool. These represent the months of the year, right? January through December. If you noticed, they're all grouped, right? So you can figure out the seasons from there as well. The same way that you see the Last Supper, you'll notice in the Last Supper, if you look at the images of the Last Supper, they're sitting in groups. That is the same exact photo as this. People don't know that. But the Last Supper is the same thing as this. If you look at the groups, they're all grouped together and sitting in groups because they represent the months of the year grouped in seasons. Understand? So when you're looking at this, it's literally a tool. This is not just art. I know when you go to the Met, they call it the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but no, Egyptian art is art of facts. Do you understand? Art of facts, not artifacts, but these are facts. Okay.
I never put that together. That was so simple. Art of facts. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The truth is the truth is simple.
It's right in
right.
your face.
It's right in your face. It's not as complex as, the Tom Who's try to make it, right? They make it very, very linear, and, things aren't cohesive and one and the same. You see, but with this, what we're looking at, anytime you're looking at something from out of Egypt that was created by hand and put on a wall, it is an art of facts. It is not just art. They didn't do things just to do it. It all had a meaning. You don't build big monuments and pyramids because you like blocks,
Period.
right? You don't do that and align it to the sun, align it to the stars,
Right.
right? In such a way because you like blocks and you like triangles. No, it all had a meaning and it had a function, right? So now let's delve in a little bit more, right? So you see these different seasons, right? That it broke up into. So how do we get from this to what's your sign? This tells me whether or not we're compatible. How do you think, like Seshat, right? I don't want to put you on the spot,
Okay.
but from the information that I just told you, how do you think it segued from that, right, to, oh, you're a Capricorn, I don't think we get along?
I think that it would have to do with the groupings that are here that we see, and also some of the energy or symbolism or meaning that is associated with each neteru or each symbol, to see if the purpose of that neteru or symbol is compatible with another. That's what I would think.
Okay. With that being said, right, I'm just gonna help you out just a little bit, right? Everything that you said is right? But in a literal sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
If if I live under the constellation of Capricorn, right? If I live under the constellation of Capricorn and you live under the constellation of Ma'at or Libra, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a time when I do my planting and reaping and sowing. There is a time when you do your planting and reaping and sowing, and it won't be the same time as mine.
Right.
There are some places on the planet where seasonal wise, they kind of replicate one another. So there's no compatibility issue as to how we move around. If you're dating somebody, right, and you work during the day, right, but I work at night, that's going to be a compatibility issue. Your time off or your downtime is not the same as my downtime.
Right.
Right? We can now gauge just by looking at this chart, because everybody is corresponding to this chart with their reaping and sowing. We can now gauge where people are going to be, right? Because to plant, to reap, and to sow, you also have to correspond to the animals that are around you as well, where the herds are going to be. You have to follow the herds, right? So this template is going to show you what's going on the earth plane, because we've tracked it. We know that the flooding is going to happen in a certain time of year. We know that a possible famine may happen in a certain time of year, right? We know that the people are going to migrate at a certain time of year. Everything that we do is going to be indicative of what is going on this wheel. So now we can figure out, right, how human beings correspond to the sun, the moon, and the stars. That's what this was originally intended for. It wasn't supposed to be a dating match game.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
It's degrading what
Right.
it really is, right? When we look at it as just that, because that's not even what it was intended for. None of us even live by the sun and the moon and the stars anymore. We go right to the store and we buy our food. Most of us aren't agriculturists. So we're not living by what's going on in the universe to even
Right.
need to use the Zodiac.
Speak on it.
Do you understand?
Yes.
We are far from what this is intended intent was for this. Like I said, when you deal with 104,000 years of study just to start writing it down, we're not talking about the years that they had to practice it to make sure that it was accurate and true before they put it in stone.
That's right.
Right? You're not going to just go straight to stone with it. You're going to see if it actually works. It's probably going to pass down from word of mouth a little bit, right? And then somebody writes it down on a little pad or something a little bit, and it moves around. It don't go straight to the walls of Kemet to be immortalized. It took years and years, hundreds of thousands of years for us to realize, no, this is it. this is what we need to be doing. You see? And then it retransliterates into how we relate to one another. And that wasn't what its original intent was to be. So the Dendera is special in so many ways because it reveals how intelligent that we were enough, to start tracking. If you deal with Egypt, you won't find more artifacts from any civilization than ancient Kemet. No other civilization has more artifacts left behind. They understood not only their present life and what was necessary, but they also understood what would happen in the future. If we ever lost this information, if we ever lost what this was and how to utilize it, if everything was destroyed, just think about it. Imagine, right? They drop a nuke bomb and everything gets destroyed, but somehow you survive, which probably has happened in the past, right? There's studies that show that there could have been wars and stuff like that, maybe even on other planets, whatever it is. But if there ever was a reset here on Earth, right? Your GPS can't help you. Social media can't help you. Huh? Your mama, your daddy, whatever you think that you're going to run to is not going to help you other than being able to plant, reap, and sow. Because one thing about the earth, the creators ain't making no more of it. And that's what sustains our life.
Period.
If you need medicine, it has to come from the herbs. Every medicine that you take comes from a plant. They extract the activating ingredient and they concentrate it and they serve it back to you for $1. But it's all free right there in your backyard, courtesy of what? This system right here. The things that makes plants grow, come back the next season, germinate, right? Replicate, splice, all these different things that are happening because we have this format. So it behooves everyone on here, right? First thing that I would say is, and this is what I say to anybody that's coming into ancient Kemetic study, is the first thing you need to do is learn the deities, right? Learn every single deity. Start studying headdresses. This will help you in your study when you can recognize which deity or principle is being represented, right? Because if you can recognize that, this was like the key to my awakening at first, because for some reason it was something that was just dormant DNA for me. I snapped into it. It's almost like you ever meet somebody and they could just pick up the guitar and start playing, or just start playing the drums. This is one of the things that I can just look at when I'm able to look at the different images, and I can tell you what that image is representing throughout Kemet. Once I awaken, that happened. For some people, it happens that way. Others, you may need to study intentfully and memorize what all these different headdresses represent, what they're trying to show you or illustrate or symbolize. Once you learn that, now you can look at all these different images and see what they're actually doing. It's almost like a game of Pictionary at that point. At that point, you're just connecting the dots, you see? So when you see these different signs of the zodiac in there and you know what they actually represent and what they meant to the people of ancient Egypt, you know why they named certain stars after that, right? You can tell exactly what's going on, why they were doing that, because it was important for their survival. So, and that's the main thing that I wanted to stress that this was not about it wasn't about art, like, at all. This is how they talk. This was their social media. This was their internet. This was their school. This was their religion. Their religion was self-preservation. You see, there's no Jesus or devils associated with this, right? In terms of survival, you don't see any of that on this wheel. But this is the wheel that is teaching them how to live. So when you look at this, you have to ask yourself, how do we end up where we are now in terms of zodiac, and how do we fix this? Right? The only way to fix this is knowledge of self. It's really only one way to do it. We have to tell the truth about what this is. There's a reason why when you go and you get your zodiac and you go and get your reading, none of them are the same. None of them. If we're following a true and accurate grid as to what human beings do in corresponding to sun, moon, stars, and planets, right? This message should be the same no matter who's telling the message.
That's right.
Everybody should be seeing the same thing.
Right.
But nobody's ever consistent. Do all Libras act the same, really? Do all Cancers and Scorpions act exactly like other Cancers and Scorpions? For real? Come on. For real? Let's be honest with ourselves, right? Because that's not what it was meant to do. But when you want to, give hope or something to people or sell them on a dream, it's very easy to do. It's very easy to do in this day and time. All you need is enough people to ride along with it. And eventually somebody said, big cat.
Right.
That's exactly what it is, and it's tough because now this walk of life has segued into the conscious community, right? Big time. Everybody wants to give you a reading and tell you about your life based upon a light in the sky that nobody's ever been to. Everybody wants to tell, right? Based upon the lights. Nobody's been there and back to tell the story. Hell, we don't even know what those things are. Yeah, we can look in a telescope and see shimmering lights, right? But to accurately actually say what it is that we're seeing, the ancestors didn't even tell you. They just say, oh yeah, we come from it. The ancestors, how you got the information and they didn't have the information. And they was tracking it for 104,000 years. Minimum. I'm willing to bet it was over 200,000 years that they were tracking. I'm willing to bet. Before it got to the walls of ancient Kemet. Remember, when it got to the walls of ancient Kemet, it was a finished product. They haven't had to go in there and change this at all. It's accurate. I think that's the most wonderful thing about it. How many different versions of the Bible do you have? How many? How many times do they have to revise it and change it and go out and transliterate it? They haven't had to change this wheel not one time.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to give you something that nobody actually has looked into, which is actually really very interesting. If you look close at the wheel, okay, let me see if I can find one that has. There's actually, this wheel actually represents an eclipse. This is taken at a moment in time. This is literally like a snapshot, family. It's literally like a snapshot. And this snapshot, if you look at where the moon is located versus where the people are located, Ra and the earth, they're in between one another. Earth is the middle earth is directly in the middle. You just put a dot right in the middle of that. That would represent the earth.
Now,
right?
Are you talking about the lighter blue like background circle in the middle, the very middle?
So that whole big circle is how the earth stretches. If you see there's like a lighter blue, you see that lighter blue in the middle? That is pretty much the reach of the earth.
Okay.
Right? To this specific zodiac system. Mm-hmm. But if you look, let me see if I can pull up another image so y'all can piece this together. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it?
I got it in the back. Yeah, we see it.
I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to put this one up.
Put a different one up. Okay.
Because people have drawn this thing over, but the original artifact, which is what people need to look at, is actually showing an eclipse.
We should call it the fact from art.
Mm-hmm.
It was so simple artifact. How did I not get that one? Anyway.
And what we have to ask ourselves is, how did they do this? That's the question.
It's not back here yet, Jamar.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up in a second.
Okay, cool. Let me know.
Okay, this is what I want you to show. You can pull this right up on Wikipedia too. So, can you see that? It's there.
Let me see. Okay. Ooh.
Can you see that?
Yeah. Hold on. Yup, it's there.
All right. Now this one is written in Spanish, but I'm going to tell you and show you what this is. So in the middle, you see it says Tere, which says Terre. Mm-hmm. In Spanish, that is Earth. So Earth is directly in the middle, in the dead center, right? Anytime we created these maps, we always put ourselves in the center of the universe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
No matter what map that you're looking at, as far as whether you were in Israel, wherever, back in the day, when they made their maps, they always made themselves as the center of the universe. Thus, the reason why all of these stories correspond as if they're the only ones there, right? When they say everyone is killed or everyone was killed by a flood, they all thought that they were the only ones there. They put themselves at the center of the universe, regardless of how many people are there. Okay?
Right.
So now, if you look down on the bottom where it says Soleil, see that Soleil?
Mhm.
Sol, right?
Yep.
That's the sun, right?
Mhm.
So here you have the sun on the bottom, and then you have Earth in the middle. And if you go up to the top, that third circle, Lune, that's the moon. Can you see that?
We see it.
So what you're looking at, family, is literally a solar eclipse snapshot with all the constellations around it. Bruh, hold on. How do you figure this out? Okay? And be able to make this an image of it, still shot, draw it out, and it be completely accurate as to where all the constellations are. Nobody ever talks about this being a solar eclipse. Nobody talks about it. They just say, oh, yeah, you know, the Dendera, it's the Zodiac. No, bruh. That is literally the entire universe that they gave you over the last hundreds of thousands of years, and they snapshotted it at an eclipse. Who's doing that with primitive tools?
Somebody put who's doing that in the chat so I can.
Who's doing that? Put that in the chat. Who's doing that? What civilization is doing that?
What group of people is doing that, y'all? Put that in the chat. Who's doing that? Put that in the chat, somebody.
Who's talking about this? This is a find that nobody is talking about, because to talk about this right now, you have to pull back the veil and really discuss how great Black people are. That's the problem. That's the problem. Huh? You gotta really talk about how them Africans from the Nile Valley figured it out. Huh? You gotta talk about it. This when I found this out, that's when I think everything pretty much came full head for me, you know, as far as how powerful this one artifact is. Why it's being swept under the rug and not talked about in this way, I don't know, but I do know.
Right.
You know, because this type of information could advance all of mankind, all of humanity, not just Black people. You know, this advances everybody. This is a level up to understand, you know, what the constellations really represent and what kind of clock, how it breaks down, right? The universe in this one segment. How could you get a snapshot at that moment in time and get all the stars there? The only way to do it is to track it for that amount of time. So it shows the relationship from generation to generation as well, how the information was passed down, because you don't just keep memories in your head. Your kids don't get born with the things that you've studied over the past 50 to 60 years. You have to teach this and pass this down. You understand? Like, it don't just happen like that. So there had to have been schools, which shows our intelligence, because you can't just, so yeah, you know, that's the sun and moon. No, you got to teach this every day. It's literally a living a living tool for vitality. You can't survive without it. And that's the main point that I want to stress about Dendera. They could not survive without it. It wasn't, this was bigger than Ra. This is bigger than Asar, Aset, Heru, and your spiritual connection to the universe and all the things that we love about spirituality. Oh yeah, let's burn some sage and, you know, eat vegetarian plates. No, this is bigger than that. This is bigger than that. Because you would not have survived a month without it. Couldn't survive. You would need some sort of tool to tell you when to plant, reap, and sow. Unless somebody just told you, right? So now, if we look further into this, this also could be a guiding map, right? We didn't even touch that. All we touched is its vitality and what it brings to us as far as food, right? Things of that nature, how animals move. But it's also a map. If you know the stars, you can navigate like a GPS. That's how GPSs work. They use high altitude balloons. They tell you it's satellites, but it's not. They use high altitude balloons. This is why your GPS cuts off at certain times. If you're too far deep down, right? If you have anything too high, your GPS could cut off without wires that help to keep the signal along, because they use high altitude planes to give us the signal so we know where we are. There's a reason why when your GPS or your Bluetooth rather is not working, you have to spin your phone. Anybody know that? You have to take your phone and you got to move it counterclockwise and clockwise so that it can catch,
All
right?
those signals.
The signal. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's coming from literal planes that are in the sky. Things that we think are satellites. They're called high. Look it up. I want y'all to Google high altitude planes and figure out how high they can fly and what they actually operate, what they actually do. They're in charge of your cable signals, of your internet, your phone, all that. They tell you that it's satellite, but it's not. Okay. So this thing gives you a literal map. So if you know how to read the stars, you can navigate the ocean waters. Right? So what does that mean? Without this, without a star map, you wasn't able to go from continent to continent, back and forth, trade and commerce. You have to be able to read the stars. So when we look at, oh yeah, the indigenous people of the Americas, well, how did you get there?
How you get there?
How did you get? Because guess what? Human beings aren't born from land. I ain't seen nobody since I've been born yet come up out of the dirt. I know that's what they told you in religion, but I ain't seen nobody come up from out of the dirt, from out of the soil, formed from clay. I haven't seen it.
And the people who said that, they haven't seen it either.
They ain't seen it neither. They just gonna run with it.
They just gonna
pretend. As far as I'm concerned, right, from what we can prove, is that human beings come from other human beings. Yes,
that's right. Out of
everybody came from the woman, another woman's vagina. Yes. Period. So in order for a human being to get from one planet to the next, he had to have traveled at some point in time from his mama's vagina over there.
Speak on it.
Okay.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
That's how it happened. And the only way you're going to get from Africa to America is if you know where you're going. You're just not going to just hop on a boat and float around. First of all, you're going to starve because you're going to need some food. You should know where you're going.
Right.
Right. Nobody's just doing this. So they did it because they had a map. They had star maps. So they knew by the way constellations were moving, which direction that they were going. They knew that if we head into one direction and we keep going straight, we're going to either end up where we started or we're going to end up someplace new.
Right.
Got to be one or the other. Either way, we safe as long as we know where we're going and which direction we going.
Right.
So when you look at how the ancestors move, it just shows like they were so smart and they had so much so early, even way back then. It wasn't something where they were just out here in these tribes and they're just out here hoping to survive and looking all skinny and frail and don't know what's going on.
Right.
That's not what it was. If you look at those Olmec heads, those are the biggest headed statues you could ever see. Those people was healthy, eating, and they knew how to travel the world. Now that's good living, right?
Right.
Those were some big boys, them Olmecs. Those were Africans.
That's right.
Those were star navigators that knew how to navigate the seas because they knew how to navigate the stars.
That's right.
Everything about that was according to that. So, you know, this just opens up layer after layer after layer. And when you have the truth, like you said, it's very, very simple. It's not hard to connect these dots, right? It becomes common sense at that point in time because self-preservation, survival is on top of the board. We know what it is, right? Through us, it's a little, and in this day and time, survival is a little bit misconstrued, right? In terms of how we actually really survive. We think going and getting our paycheck and being able to buy as much food and live where we want is survival. because we haven't been put into a real survival situation. Everything we do now is anti-survival, so we don't have to feel like we're trying to survive. Take away all of the trinkets, right? The things that appease us and the vices, you're back in survival mode. So once we reset this thing, and it will happen again, it's happened before, it happens in cycles. Once it happens again, humans will then have to revert back, because when the reset happens, there's also a frequency change. They say that many of us forgot, right, all the different things, where we came from, what we've been able to accomplish over the years and generations piling up on one another, right? There's a bit of, they say that human beings today, some people believe we have amnesia, and we don't know who actually we are and what we've done, how long we've actually been here. We've forgotten. This is a strong possibility. When you think about how long over your life, you just forget certain things, right? Right. You could probably remember, a childhood song from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but you might not remember what you ate 2 weeks ago for dinner. The human brain is very limited. And over time, if we don't track, if we don't write down what it is that we've learned and what it is that we're seeing, this is where we end up. The things that are actually very valuable to us become novelty and things that we just do for fun and for shits and giggles, pretty much. That's how they're treating this thing. When you think about how powerful it is, Zodiac is being used for fun, for entertainment purposes only. This is an actual real tool that can save someone's life if they know how to use it. If you ever end up in a jungle or naked and afraid, by knowing what season is, where it is, what time you are, you will survive. I want to show one more thing here just to show you what it is that you're looking at when you look at this. Before I make some announcements really quick, I want to show you guys this. When you're looking at the inner workings, second.
I want to say that Detron Williams, he asked, how can I learn? And he had mentioned earlier about learning. We're going to speak on that towards the end. Okay. So I see your comment and I got you. We're going to hit it up at the end. Okay.
If you can put that image on the screen.
Okay. It's up.
Okay. So now what you're looking at is the same exact image, family, of the inner circle, the zodiacs. Okay. This is what you're looking at.
I can see it now.
See it?
I've seen this before, and obviously the Wheel of Dendera, but now since you said it,
yes,
I see it. I see it differently. That's just crazy. Listen, y'all, I learned from Jamar. I teach some things, and I learned, and he's one of the people that I learned from. And a part of learning is acquiring knowledge, is recognizing some people know stuff that you don't know. I've seen this before, yo, again, in plain sight. It's crazy. I know things are in plain sight and still don't see some things in plain sight.
Right. And that's what's so just amazing about this, because when you think you have arrived, you literally just stepped off the doorstep. You know what I mean? It's like one thing opens up another box, another Pandora's box. Right now, we're delving back into astrology, right? But there's layers upon layers for each science that we talked about. It's hundreds and thousands of years of layers and information, right? Through trial and error. Not just you come here equipped with the knowledge, through trial and error. So if you look here, you can see like on the bottom why they would make the sign for Taurus. Look at the Taurus. You can find Taurus on here just by looking at it. If nobody told you what Taurus was, you'll be able to figure it out. You can see the horns on the bottom right. You see that? You can see the horns going up. It looks just like the head of a ram.
Show them, Jamar, just so they
can you see it?
I can see it. I'm looking right at it.
You're looking right at it. You can see it. You can see how it looks like the head of a ram. Can you see that? Look at the Sag. You can see the Sag horse. You can see it all right there. Just look. It looks exactly like the images that they created, because that's what it's just like family. It's just like if you were staring at the clouds and you said, oh, that's a rabbit, right? Like, oh, that's a horsey in the clouds. The kids do it all the time. Where do you think the science came from? Why do you think they made the images like that? Who do you think they were explaining the science to?
Kids and probably people who were illiterate, since a lot of people were illiterate, and their symbols, just like the Medunetter is symbols.
Yeah. By the time you were an adult, this was already in your brain.
Right.
You wouldn't have made it to be an adult if it wasn't. You understand? You wouldn't have made it. This is not a choice. It's not like, oh yeah, we're going to homeschool or not. No, this was not a choice. The children had to know this. We had kings like King Tut running kingdoms at 17 years old. Running kingdoms. Do you not think every child knew this? They were explaining this. These stories were created for the children. So when you hear religions arguing about their favorite invisible character, that's literally an infant stage of consciousness. It's an infant stage of consciousness, because they haven't realized that these stories were created for the babies. The higher levels of knowledge, you had to sit outside the temples for years, for decades, before you got into the inner sanctum. We learned this in priesthood, right?
Yes, we did.
People would be sitting outside for decades before the priest would allow them to come into the first sanctum. We're not talking about the inner sanctums of where the higher levels of consciousness are, where all the scrolls are. You're in the outside. That's what those stories are for. Give them religion. Give them the story. Give them the Zodiac. Huh? Yeah, that's a ram. We know it's not, those are stars. We know those are stars, but that's a ram. That's a pan. Those are scales right there. Right? You can't name these different things in the sky until you first have them on Earth.
They have to be tangible and concrete
for us to
understandable in a more physical realm, like kids playing with big blocks when they're 2. They have to understand their physical world first. So if I can understand this physically because I can see it and touch it, when you tell me to look up and you're going to show me something I can literally connect those literal dots.
Now,
as above, so below.
Come on. Right? Now, this is not teaching, right? Because you just said, I didn't say anything what you just said. You just said that.
Right.
This is what you already know. It's what you already know. You're just being reminded. You've already done this work. Right? You've already done this work. You ever done some work? I do this all the time because I'm an artist, but I don't expect you to have gone through this. But as an artist, I'll write something down. I'll write a lyric or something like that. Right? I'll write a bunch of lyrics over the course of the day. Then it's time I get in the studio, it's time to record a song, right? And I'll go over some of the lyrics that I wanted to use, right? Sometimes I won't even use the lyrics that I wrote for that day. I'll go back months, maybe even years. And I'll be like, I wrote that? I really wrote that? Sometimes I forget how I even put the words together.
Right.
I go back and I watch some of the videos that I did on YouTube. And I'll be like, bruh. And I'll be sitting there learning for myself.
Right. I've done that. Right.
Do you understand?
Yep.
So, this is stuff that is within us. Like we're tapping into it. And sometimes we put it out there, but it's really outside of ourselves. We're tapping into an element of information, or what we call the Ka, right? This is stuff that's in the Akashic record, right? It's all there. We can all just tap into it. We just need to be helped connect some of the dots. That's all we're doing here. We're learning together, right? I know something, you know something. You just said something very profound, right? That's because you understand what it's like. You're like, you know what? Yeah, if I was a child, this is what I would do. That the biblical text even talks about that too. You got to come to this knowledge with the eyes of a child. In order to understand it, You have to approach it with the eyes of a child. If you come into this thinking that you already know everything that there is to know, you won't be able to understand. You actually got to symbolize it, right? It's not that it's not. It's not that it's not in your brain. You got to tap into it, and to tap into it, you have to have a mind of exploration, a mind of wonder, curiosity, like children
And
do.
humility
Humility,
and vulnerability.
vulnerability, right? All these different things come into play when you're trying to learn, right? We have to reteach people how to even learn because you can't approach everything with a bag carrying all the baggage of what it is you think you know.
Right.
See what
Right.
I'm saying? When you ain't never been somewhere before, right? What are you packing for? You don't even know what you're going to need.
You know, Jamar, it's interesting. I and you and I have had these conversations. I learned there was a different way to learn when I was at college. The irony of that. I respect college. I think people should go to college if they can, but I also know the message that you can only learn in college is not that's not accurate.
Yeah.
And I learned that at college. And so you meet people who just know different stuff, and it have a wider pool of knowledge and know that deeply. I met people who didn't go to college, didn't have degrees, who had money, lots of it legally, and just I was like, wait, hold up.
Right.
And so I said all that to say that was my physical, tangible, simple, huge Lego block
Yes.
to understand that there is a bevy of information out there, and the people who have it are the people who have it. And if
Yes.
you don't have it, then you're the person who doesn't have it. And it doesn't matter what your background is. And
Doesn't.
so when
Yes.
people give it to you, then they're either you trust, and of course, this is considering you trust the source, you know what to talk about. I ain't talking about everybody
Right.
out here.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Legitimate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're, Jamar is giving us something that's a smidge esoteric with learning from the stars, but I'm telling you, in your everyday walk of life, learning what's around you from people around you really helps you to understand an organic or a natural or an ancestral way to learn something.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to throw that out there because really and truly, learning outside of school while I was at school was super dope for me. It was a level up, quite frankly.
Yeah. Yeah. You put yourself in a different space and a different demographic,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps to reveal. I tell people, hey, listen, when people say, yeah, I'm speaking my truth, right? I used to be totally against that, right? Now I'm 100% for it, right? But I put a little context on it, right? Yeah, you have your truth, right? But there was one truth.
Right. There's the truth.
There is the truth.
That's right.
It doesn't have multiple variations.
That's
The
right.
the truth, right, is literally all of the perspectives put in one.
That's right. It's
It's the
universal.
conglomerate, right? But that one truth is not different variations. The different variations make up that one truth.
Mm-hmm.
Same way you have a pizza pie, that's one pizza pie, many slices, but one piece of pie, right? So when we look at that, that helps us now. How does that help us in everyday life? Because here's the thing: when we're dealing with the Dendera, I don't like to give you guys just artifacts and knowledge about ancient Kemetic artifacts just so you can have a bunch of knowledge about ancient Kemetic artifacts. How does this apply to you in your everyday life?
Right.
You know what I mean?
How does it
How do
apply?
you, yes, right? This will help people from to no longer be bamboozled by zodiac predictions. That's the first thing that has to go. Okay,
Bye.
by that has to go.
Right.
Right? This whole thing we're going to tell the future that doesn't even exist yet, right? We're going to tell you what's going to happen. Okay, if that was the case, I wouldn't be sitting here with you. I'm sure you would use that power for something more important, right? So we don't want to talk about what's just important, but what's important to you, right? When it comes to dealing with ancient Kemetic artifacts, right? Understand that it's levels to all of this, and this is all about preserving you as a human being. It's about knowledge of self, understanding how the body works, what it needs to sustain its vitality, and the different systems that, if we go along with it, will be the least area of resistance to achieve that result. So when we're looking at this, when we're looking at the zodiac, when we're looking at Dendera, right? We have to learn each symbol on there because one of those symbols in there represents us. One of those symbols in there represents where we were born under a specific constellation. Now, if we ever end up back in that space, you will need to know how to navigate the planet from that. So here in the Americas, we're under a specific constellation, right? If you were over in Egypt, you depending upon where you are, you'd be under a specific constellation. And as everything rotates and moves, it will move in a cycle. These cycles will bring along seasons, which will affect how the animals are going to move, which will affect how human beings will have access to food, which affect how grass grows. We can't move without the animals doing what they do. It's important that the animals defecate on the earth to produce fertile soil and fertilizer. All these things are not minimal and they are all necessary. Do you know that human beings directly have a corresponding relationship with bees? If all the bees disappeared, every human being would die.
That makes sense.
Every human being would die if all the bees disappeared. We are directly connected to not just even the animals, the insects as well. The things that we hate, the things that you may kill or step on. You get a whole different respect for life now, understanding this, and because it gives you the process, the circle of life. You realize, oh, okay, you know what? That ant that was just crawling on me, it's important. I got to let that ant live. Why? Because that ant is going to burrow into the soil. It's going to make room for water to go down and feed the plants and all the minerals that the plants need so that they can grow and give me the oxygen that I need. I'm not going to kill that ant today. You see what I'm saying? You become one with nature now.
I want to say this, Jamar. I remember before I came into this legacy, I would kill insects. My whole thing was, if you inside my house, I'm gonna kill you.
Yes.
You live outside the house, I live inside the house. And I remember being at Anika Jabari's house, and there was a bug or something in the house or whatever. And Anika didn't kill it, but shoot it out or something. I forgot what she did, but she did not kill it. And I was like, girl, you better kill that. And fast forward to me now, if there's a spider in the house, I'll try to get it and open the door and get it out, because I understand that, just like what you're saying, I'm connected to that spider and that spider is connected to me. And there's every animal, every living entity is an aspect of the divine and a product of the divine with feminine and masculine energy balance, and has a purpose in the cycle of life. So don't be killing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And their level of intelligence, right, is an insect's level of intelligence is to a level respectable enough of human beings so that it understands that it cannot destroy human beings and won't even try. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? We have the ability to understand that, guess what? Any insect, if it wanted to, it can destroy us. But they don't. Why? How come the animals haven't tried to destroy us as many as we killed? How come they haven't tried that? They don't have an option to step outside of the circle of life and what it provides for them. They don't have the option of stepping outside of this infrastructure of the system and correcting any of its mistakes. They don't have the option of doing any of that. We're the only ones that have the option of stepping outside of nature, us outside of our natural element and what we're supposed to be doing here. Mm-hmm. Human beings are the only ones who have the ability to do that. Right? So now when we look at that's important. Right? If we go into a space, right? The only time you'll see an animal, right, or an insect attack us is mainly if we're in a space where we shouldn't be for the most part. If you go
like that,
right, if you jump into any habitat that you don't belong, if you're messing with a beehive, expect the bees to come and rock and rock your head. They're gonna come with you. They don't care, right? Why they gonna do that? Because the circle of life is bigger than you. It's bigger than you, right? So they're gonna swarm you because you think you're bigger than the circle of life. You walk into a bear cave, good luck. Good luck. They're going to tear you up. The circle of life is bigger than you.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So until we get connected back to it, that lack of relationship is going to hinder us in many ways, right? It's manifesting itself just in relationships. It's turned into people following fake Zodiac Signs with their relationships, right? What does that affect? That affects our relationships with one another. That affects who we procreate with, right? The quality of life that we're producing in infants and babies, the quality of life that that produces in adults. Our quality of life is being affected by this because we've stepped outside of nature, right? It's true meaning, it's true reality. What it's there for, we stepped outside of it. Once we get back to it, now the Dendera becomes the leading forefront of everything that we're doing, right? We're all moving together in unison. We can't move together in unison because most people don't even know what this is.
Right.
All of these zodiacs are very, very different. Nobody's moving according to the same grid. There's so many different zodiac readings. I think they have more of those than religions because anybody can really take it up and just start doing it.
And just start wilding.
Just start talking. You could just Google and you're going to find 400 different versions for today of what your zodiac should be. 400 different versions. I've had people, say, "Oh yeah, you're a Libra, you act this way." Like, no, that ain't me, bro.
Right.
That ain't me. To a certain extent, some of those things, but guess what? Some of those traits you're going to find in pretty much everybody in any given time at a certain point in time.
Right.
When I look at you, I see me. When I see somebody else, I see me. So I don't see myself as being separated from anybody else. My universe is my universe. That's why it's universe, one. My perspective is the only ones that matters in my universe. Now, if we want to talk about the multiverse, that's a whole different story. But there's only one universe, uni. Mm-hmm. You see? So this Dendera, in a nutshell, what I want to say, family, wrapping this up, what I want to say is the more you learn about this, about the Dendera wheel, the more questions you will have. This is not a thing where, like I said, it's linear, right? Like this is what happened and this is what it is, and it's just a piece of art. No, this is a key. It is a key to many different things. Not only the sun, the moon, and the stars, right? The history of Black people, the sustainability of Black people, how long we've actually been here, the methodology as to how we think, the basis of the most important sciences that we've developed. We can pretty much pinpoint how they were put together, in the order they were put together. It shows what was important to us at that moment in time.
That's right.
Because you're not going to go through all this effort, right? Just to make a pretty picture and put different animals that you like around in the middle, and it just doesn't work that way. This is a language. When you see these images, they're telling you a story. And it's really a shame in this day and time in 2023 that we don't know these stories in their entirety. We know all the Bible stories, however. We know all the fables that go along with our holidays. But what about the stuff that our ancestors deliberately left for us that told us was of mutual importance for any era, any being? We're not even just talking about Black people, just a being. If you're here. Because guess what? The insects got to abide by these rules too. The animals got to abide by these rules too. Mm-hmm. There's no living being on the planet that is exempt from this system. So anybody can relate. Anybody can understand. But we must break it down, right? For the eyes of a child. And it has to stay there. Right? Don't try to add more onto it that ain't there. Right? All these different things that they try to add on top of that as far as personality traits and things of that nature, as if DNA is not a factor. DNA has more effect on you than the zodiac.
Right.
Where you came from.
That's right.
Which vagina you popped out of has more effect on you than any zodiac prediction you could muster.
That's right.
Where have you been? Okay. So, you know, there are many different challenges that come with this because you're talking years and years, decades of people who have just been abiding by this. And they haven't really tried to delve into the history as to where it comes from and what it was used for. If the first zodiac is seen here, what we just showed you, and we gave you what it means, it doesn't translate into relationships. It just doesn't. That's what it is. Let's see. I want to answer some of these. Okay.
Someone asked, is there a book to learn the Dendera?
Is there a book?
Yeah.
Yeah, you the book. Yeah. Seriously. Now, when dealing with ancient Kemet, right? The importance of gaining this knowledge, the methodology of how you gain knowledge, right? It's about knowledge of self, right? You've heard this term, it gets thrown around a lot. Knowledge of self. What I find that most people who are learning, they don't have much confidence in self in terms of knowledge. Anytime you're somebody's trying to learn something, automatically by default, they feel they need to go to someone else on the planet to learn about themselves. Okay. This particular event, right? Most of you probably already know the zodiacs. You already know that. So what I would challenge you to do is to not get a book on the zodiac. Get a book on the Kemetic deities. You can get this online. You don't even need a book. Get a book and learn all the headdresses of all the Kemetic deities so that when you look at the grid, you know what you're looking at. This is the first thing. Learn all the Kemetic deities, as many as you can, the main ones primarily, right? From there, when you can recognize the different deities, now you can superimpose them. Hold on, I want to show you something, family. 1 second.
So I also want to jump in and say that a lot of what we have for Tuesday Talk is it provides a structure for you to do your own research and to learn. And this
is how seriously you have to take this work.
Can you put that in front of your mic? Can you put that in front of the microphone closer to the camera? Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of the extent of this work. Here I got this from ancient Kemet. I got this from Kemet.
Move it to the other side a little bit.
This image. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, that's
this is the actual.
Right
this
there.
is the actual zodiac.
That right there.
Dendera one. Okay, I got this from Kemet. Okay, so I see this every day, every single day. Okay, there's not a day goes by that I don't glance at this. Okay, it's got all the zodiacs listed. You can get one of these for yourself. Highly advised. As somewhere in your home, you keep one of these. The more you start staring into these things, the more things that are going to be revealed to you. The part about the eclipse, I would not have caught if I didn't know what the symbol of Ra looks like. If I didn't know what Khonsu looks like. If I didn't know what these deities look like, I wouldn't be able to find it. You understand? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't see the variations. I wouldn't see the connections. I wouldn't know that, okay, that is the sun and that is the moon. So I wouldn't know what it's trying to tell me. You can go online right now, family. You can buy this. You can buy some of these. You can probably even get the papyrus delivered from Kemet directly to you if you wanted it straight from Egypt. I wanted mine straight from Egypt to make sure that it was accurate on how they see things. But you can find one that is exactly like this on papyrus. Okay? I do need to put some on the Lighthouse website. Maybe I will. If I order some, I'll put some up there.
Dag, I couldn't even touch the comment fast enough. I saw that mad fast.
Okay? I might do that. But I highly advise that everybody has one of these in their home. You should. You have to take this matter into your own hands. And the majority of what you learn, I promise you, is not going to be what anybody tells you. It's not going to come from a book. It's not the most valuable things that I learned are me trying to take the things that my ancestors left for me and apply it to everyday life. Because it's not just about the knowledge, it's about the application of the knowledge. If you can't use it, is it knowledge?
It's just stuff you know.
It's literally just junk. It's junk. Right? It's one of those situations because it's like if you don't if you aren't aware of the information, right? You stand the risk of not going where everybody else is going. Because the majority of most people are going to read books to try to find out what's going on. But guess what? Our ancestors didn't have books. If you're going to read anything, read what they wrote. And this is what they wrote.
So that people can have a concrete beginning, because having knowledge of self and doing your own research and learning, that makes sense to us because we've been doing this for a while. But when you first get started, you can do something tangible like go to Wikipedia or go to Google, something with a very low entry point, and Google Wheel of Dendera, and you can start from there. It's going to break it down probably from a European perspective, but the more research and study you do, you'll be able to tell the difference, and you'll be able to extract out the knowledge, the facts, okay? Because sometimes the information is deliberately misconstrued, and sometimes it's not.
That's what I'm afraid of. You know, that's what I'm afraid of the most is that, you know, when you delve into it, the transliterations and how they want to interpret it, the spiritual connection won't be there.
So the spiritual connection won't be there. But what I'm saying is, you have this base here with Tuesday Talk. The people that I have on here are scholars and know what they're talking about. So what you learn outside of a verified source, which I'm going to give you a list in a second, what you learn outside of a verified source, you should compare it to and kind of check it with your verified source. So if we're taking the Wheel of Dendera and you Google it and learn some stuff, you also have tonight with Jamar to compare it to what he has said. So because Jamar is a verified source. Jamar also has the lighthouse. You do your not talk show, but every day from 10 to podcast.
9 to 10? Oh, in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a podcast.
I try to keep up as much as I can in the morning. Yeah.
So I said that to say this: the information is not going to come like in class in from a book. It can, and a lot does, but you also get it from doing your own research, knowing what a verified source is, and then following that source and listening to that source and going to YouTube and watching and following that source. I'm going to give you a list of people who know what they're talking about. Okay. Yeah. Jamar Milton, Jabari Osaze, Anika Osaze Daniels, Sanjeti from the Temple of Anu, Asar Imhotep. Asar Imhotep and Sanjeti teach the Medu Neter. Dr. Raketia Men, she teaches the Medu Neter. Robin Walker, he wrote When We Ruled. He has an online course called theblacksecret.uk. Theophilo Banga, he knows what he's talking about. You've got Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Joseph Ben Yakinen. You have Sheikh Ata Diop. You've got Anthony Browder or Tony Browder. You have Professor James Smalls. You have Dr. Runoko Rashidi. You have Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Asada Shakur. So follow those people. Okay. You've got who wrote Powernomics. I'm drawing a blank. Light skinned man.
Yeah, you can put Infodici on there too, for sure.
What'd you say?
Infodici.
Oh, Infodici, sorry.
Yeah, Infodici,
Detron,
sure.
I wasn't looking at the comments. I was thinking in my head. Infodici,
also, you know who's really good in talking in reference to things like this? Bobby Hemmett. Follow Bobby Hemmett in reference to that. And as far as the esoteric part of it, the spiritual connection, to it if you want to delve into that part.
So yeah, so hold on for 1 second. I'm not having that. So I lost my train of thought for a second. Claude Anderson. Thank you. That's who it is. So those people who I mentioned will get you started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's a lot. And that gives you African history. That gives you, and when I say African history, I mean like history of ancient Kemet, of Ethiopia, of the Sudan, of the Dahomey, like wherever you want to start, those people have that information. You've got spirituality. You want to learn about Kemetic spirituality. You want to learn about Vodun. You want to learn about Santeria, whatever. Those people can give you those sources. You want to learn about foundational Black American history, which is American history. You have that. So Dr. Charles Finch, you have the list of people who I just gave you. That's the list. And
I do
and
want to
when
answer.
they and when they work with people, they're not going to work with people who are who don't know what they're talking about, or who haven't been verified, who haven't shown and proved their worth. Okay, so if you start with these people who I mentioned, then it'll help you understand at a visceral level what knowledge of self means, what doing your own research means, what understanding what the ancestors have said to you. That stuff will lead you to fasting and praying and meditating so you can really truly have some ancestral connection. That stuff is real. That's not made up. Okay? So for the person who said that they were just learning, if your first move is Google, and that's fine, but you have all of these people to verify the information, sorting out
Yeah, the
what's
confirmations.
misinformation and what's intentional and what's a European perspective, whether it's intentional or not. You'll get to that point. But your first move is just Google. Okay?
Yeah,
Write
you want
down
to.
the list of people who I said and get to work. That's how it goes down. Okay.
Yeah, you definitely want to start to look for more confirmations as opposed to information.
That's right.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
confirmation is going to be way more powerful for you. It's going to open up some things, that you never really thought about that you were able to do. A lot of times we underestimate our own worth. I did it for a long time. I did it for many, many years before I started trusting my intuition and what I'm seeing and what I'm rendering. Right? Sometimes you got to go with your gut, and then you can go and find the information that actually confirms what it is that you've been saying. We need more people uh galvanizing and putting out information than reciting information. That's where we are right now, because right now we're in the age of information.
That's
So
right.
there's
That's
a lot
right.
of knowledge but very little wisdom. So all the names that she just put out there for you are wise men. They're
Kaba
wise men.
Kamini.
Yeah, they have no problem with vetting their information up against one another, right? We've seen debates, we've seen all these different things in the past. These
Jamar, I gotta say something. Listen, Donnie Williams, I don't have controversy on my show. Period. Okay. It doesn't matter if I like it or not. I don't have it on Tuesday Talk. Period. Go ahead, Jamar.
Yeah. So you can vet all this information, up against some of the scholars. That's the best way to do it. Is find some of your favorite scholars who are going to be real with you and open with you. The majority of the ones that she just names are those type of individuals.
Right.
Definitely Kaba Kamini. He knows a
Right.
lot about this subject matter. There's a bunch. They're out here. So really it's just being outside. It's being outside and putting the work in, because guess what? If you out here doing the work, you're gonna find yourself in the same spaces as these individuals.
That's right.
I
That's
I,
right.
I met Tony Browder just doing my thing. I wasn't connected to Tony Browder at all. Like, one of the people in the lighthouse was like, "Yo, you need to check this dude out. We need to do something real quick." I didn't meet Tony Browder until I ended up in Washington D.C. on one of his tours doing the Egypt on Potomac. You know, and that's when I realized how powerful this man was. But I was already headed to Washington D.C. regardless for my lecture. See what I'm saying? So the more you just doing the work, right? you're going to end up running into these individuals because I'm going to tell you something about this community. It's a very small community.
It is. It
It's
is.
not, yeah, especially when you're dealing with leaders. It's not too many. A very small community. Before I move on to that, I do want to answer one individual's questions. Heru Judy, Patah Umaka Tamara said, question, does the book give approximately 30 days for each sign? My sign Cancer is only 17 days, while Sagittarius is very long. And that is correct. So the ancient Kemites didn't have 365 days the way that we do it. They broke up months into 30 days evenly, 360 days a year, right? A circle is 360 degrees, correct? So what happened was after the conquerors came in, they switched up the calendar. So that Gregorian calendar was created basically to acknowledge their gods, right? And who they worshiped. You know, you have July, you have a couple of things dedicated to Julius Caesar, right? Julius is July, right? August, that's that. I mean, Julius is July, right? For Julius Caesar. August is also dedicated to Julius Caesar. It's Augustus Caesar, right? So a lot of this is dedicated to what they wanted to portray in you guys. You see what I'm saying? For you guys to worship. So the more we start to realize, you know, just what is a part of this situation, a part of this Dendera system and why it was created, the more we realize even some of the things that was changed, some of the things that they did, like it literally breaks down history and shows how they just took over and started doing whatever they wanted to do. Understand? So
I'm going to answer Detron Williams' question. How can you find an Egyptian calendar? So oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. What's the name of the people who have the calendar? They have they're associated with the Dogon tribe. They do initiation. Um, the Earth Center, the Earth Center. So Detron says, how can you find an Egyptian calendar? Go to the Earth Center, Google the Earth Center. They sell calendars, and their calendars are based upon the system that Jamar was just talking about, where they're the 30 days and 10 days make a decan. And we didn't have 7 days that made a week. Yes, thank you, the Earth Center. And Sanjetti spoke very highly of the Earth Center's calendars, and Sanjetti knows what he's talking about based upon his whole lineage of how he was taught the Medu Neter. So I would start there. I have one of those calendars. They're beautiful, and they break down every day, like the Neteru for that day and information on it. It's aesthetically beautiful, and it's really, for me, it was great to have something that was so concrete, that was a tool that you can use to connect to how we originally managed our time. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine, Kapresh, from we were texting from the Temple of Anu, because I'm going to start doing my workout schedule where I do it on a decan, which is 10 days, because that's how we did it. So I want to shift from looking at the calendar and seeing, you know, well, 7 days, this is when this class is on this day, I'll weight lift on that day, and convert it to a 10-day decan, which is how we did ours. All right. You're welcome, Detron. So I hope I'm saying your name right. So I would go to the Earth Center to get the calendar. It's beautiful, and it's a good tool to use. You can learn from it. Matter of fact, if you're just starting, go get that calendar and just learn that from that calendar, because they talk about the net to do, like what Jamar was saying.
yeah,
Jamar was like, yo, learn the headdresses. So you can learn the headdresses from that calendar. You'll realign your time and
it's the
understand
quickest
it.
way.
It's a teaching tool.
It's the quickest way. You know, the quickest way is to learn the headdresses. You know, I'm just telling you from my perspective, right? Like many of you know, like I came into the conscious community maybe about 8 years ago. You know, like within the first 2-3 years, you know, just by learning those headdresses and knowing what's going on, that catapulted me in a level in life I couldn't even explain to you. Like I couldn't even,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? I couldn't even, I just can't explain it. You know,
Uh-huh.
all I
Uh-huh.
know is that it works. I'm going to tell you what I did, right? I'm going to give you my
Right.
universe, my perspective, and what worked for me. And it was first and foremost um, learning the basics of Pictionary, right? Learning what they're trying to tell me
Right.
uh, with these pictures, because the Metonetta is going to take a couple of years for you to be able to learn. It's not something that you can just learn right away. You can get the basics by taking a course with Queen Anika,
Mm-hmm.
with Sister Anika. You can take a course with her at the Shrine of Ma'at, and
Center,
you'll
center,
learn.
Isn't that Center for Ma'at? Isn't that where that is? The
Yeah.
class?
So yep. So I highly advise, like, if you guys aren't tapped in with the Shrine of Ma'at on, or the Center of Ma'at, go to the Instagram page. You can go and check it out there. But definitely get into some sort of at least one course, just an introductory course, because that will really, really help you. And then from there, once you take the introductory course, you can actually teach yourself from that point on. Her introductory course is so good.
It's dope.
Once you take the introductory course, you can literally teach yourself from there on. Okay. And that's ran by the wife of Jabari Osaze at the shrine, Sister Nika. Okay. She's one of the head and teppies of the shrine. Okay. So what I also want to do for those of you who are looking to get tapped in with some elders, we're having an event on February the 4th that you all need to be at. If you want to get tapped in with some of the elders and some of the scholars that we named tonight, there's going to be at least, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 of them at this event that we're having here in New York for Hapi. The link is in my Instagram. My Instagram is at Jamaar, Jamaar. Okay. It's the only link on my Instagram, right on the main page. You can go there and get your tickets there. It's going to be here in Jamaica, Queens. It's a Black Excellence event. There's going to be several speakers. Several of the elders are going to be speaking. There's going to be video presentations, performances. I'll be performing that day, as well as Brand Nubian.
Nubian. I love
Yeah, this event is probably going to be one of the biggest events to kick off the new year. You want to be there for that, especially if you're new. You want to get into the Shaka Amos as well as another name we can throw out there.
Let me say
very well
this.
studied.
Happy is in the chat. Put the link in the chat.
Yes, please. You can go there right now.
Happy, put the link in the chat. Because you have access to the chat.
Oh, I can put the link in there? Yeah, I can do it, but they can do it. Yeah, if Happy, if you're on, please put that link in.
She's on. I'm looking at it right now.
Perfect.
And Daytron, there you go. I said your name right. And I also wanted to say, when I was giving my list of scholars, anyone I omitted was most certainly not intentional. There's who else did we mention? I mentioned them: Kaba Khamenei, Baba Ashra Crazy, and just other people. So again, if I forgot someone, it was not intentional. But like I said, and like what Jamaar is saying, you go to this event, you're gonna see them there. You start with one, it's gonna circle back. You're gonna get to them. Jamaar, are you stuck? Oh, Jamar's computer died. He's coming right back. Okay, so Happy just fit. Who is this? Is this Felicia or Taki? So I can refer to you as a person. This is the Eventbrite for the event that they're going to be having. I think it's in February. I don't have the flyer right in front of me, but it is something that you're going to be able to meet a lot of people who are in this community, who are respected in this community, elders of the community, and you will be able to get to know them and meet them, and you'll be able to it's February 4th, and you'll be able to interact with them, and it's a whole lot of fun. And plus, for those of you who've never heard Jamaar rap or seen him perform, he's a really good artist and rapper and performer, and it's definitely going to be something that you're going to want to participate in and that you're going to want to see. You know what I'm saying? So the link is right here. It's in the chat. Copy and paste it and post and put it in what was I going to say? A new page, so that you'll be able to hyperlink it and that you can go get your ticket. And live stream is available as well. So the chat has turned into advertising for this event. So Riza Islam is going to also be there. So and Joanne says live stream is also available as well. So this is going to be something super dope. So make sure that you get it out. How much is it? Happy, go ahead and put it in the chat. Again, who is this? Is this Taki or Felicia? Because Happy is not a person. I want to know who I'm talking to. So I'm going to highlight another name that I didn't mention that I didn't mention. Now, I have had Infudishi on my show many times. Infudishi is going to be on my show again because we've spoken about it. So I forgot his name, and it most certainly it was not because of anything. So I just want to make sure that that is known. I had Baba Ashra Kwesi. Also, oh, it doesn't go back up. I missed one. Anyway, so let's see. I'm going to see if I can answer any more questions that are here. Now, who is Pata Asar? I don't know who that is. I don't know if that is a person or if that is someone just like a regular person or someone who is a scholar who could be mentioned. Seneb Cortia asked, live stream for tickets now. I guess you can buy the tickets now. And the way that I understand it is that there is a live streaming option that you have to purchase. So, Happy, can you, oh, it's Felicia. Felicia, can you answer that question? It said, the question was, well, it really wasn't a question. Oh, it's an answer. Tashi answered it. She said, yes, it will be live streamed. All right, boom. So I guess people know about this. Daytron, you can't see it in the chat? So, okay, then I'm gonna highlight it. Boom. It's right there. You should be able to Google it. Maybe that'll come up. I don't know. Jamar, Felicia, do you have a simple website that has this link that I can put in the chat, and then that people can go to get the ticket? Because somebody said that they can't see it. Oh, Daytron said he can't see it in the chat. So can you, oh, you see it now. He sees it now. All right, great. So Infudishi is going to be there. Kaba Kameni, Dr. Susan Tata, Dr. Georgina Falou, and Professor Smalls are going to be there. Ishaka Musa Barashango, absolutely. Oh, thank you. That is clutch. I remember my mother talking about him when I was a little kid. Ishaka Musa Barashango, yes. Okay, so Felicia with Happy said they are working collaboratively with Jamar, so this is his affiliate link. Okay, bet, boom. So do that one so Jamar can get money from it. Use this one that's in the chat, y'all. I want y'all to highlight this and put it in another like a Google or whatever, so that you can buy your tickets from him. Amadeus Christ. I don't know who that is. I've seen it, that name, but who, Felicia, who is that, and what does this person do? Let's see. So I hope that this answered your questions. I'm going to see if Jamar is going to be coming back. I also want to say that if Anika is not doing the Medu classes, that Sanjeti also does introductions Medu classes, and they kind of alternate. So when one is teaching, the other one isn't teaching. Okay. When you learn the Medu, you also learn about Kemet, you learn history from it, because the language is connected to the culture and is connected to what people were doing, which that's what language does. So let me I'm looking through questions, making sure I got all the questions. Will Henderson, are you saying that the Earth Center also has an app of the Kemetic calendar? I don't know if they do or not. Or are you just saying in general there's an app of a Kemetic calendar? Okay, Cortia says she got 2 calendars from them. Yep. Let's see. Okay. All right. So Dr. Claude Anderson, I think I said him. I'm gonna put him up here like this. I'm gonna text Jamar to see if he's coming. Oh wait, he's probably backstage. My bad. Here he is. Add to stream. Okay. There we go. How long you been back there?
A couple minutes.
So you heard. So we've been plugging your joint and your affiliate link. So,
oh yeah, for sure, definitely. You can use the affiliate link to get tickets.
Oh my God, Jabari's history class. Thank you. How can I forget that? So Jabari, this is Daytron, and anyone else who's starting, this is a really good place to start. Jabari does 3 millennia of excellence, which focuses on Kemetic history, and he also has an African American history course. Those two are super good. Jabari is a historian and a really good teacher. Get notebooks and take notes and study it and go back to it and apply it to memory, because once you start laying down these foundational pieces, when you hear other things, it'll be easier for you to know where to place it chronologically, know where to place it geographically, and you'll have it'll be synergistic, which means the energy that the information that you've had will mesh with what you're learning. Okay, so you're kind of jumping in, like boom, you jump in, right? But over time, it starts to make sense, and it doesn't take long for it to do that. So the Center for Ma'at.com is, or the Shrine of Ma'at. If you follow the Shrine of Ma'at, especially on our extension, Jabari makes all kinds of announcements. And when he teaches his classes, you will know there first. It's also put on the website as well. So follow the Shrine of Ma'at on Facebook and YouTube, and you will get this information. All right. Okay, Will Henderson said yes, the Earth Center has a Kemetic calendar app, and I had the Earth Center on Tuesday Talk last year. He was my first. He came on back to back. So if you want to just dig in the crates and go back to last year, it would be September of 2021. And my guests for the first two sessions were the Earth Center. We talked about the calendar in depth, and also they have initiations. The Shrine of Ma'at has initiations, and Fudishi has initiations, and the Temple of Anu has initiations as well. So land where you want to. The Shrine of Ma'at is accepting applications for initiations right now. So yes, Marcella Kent, you did hear correctly. Jamar does a podcast. Jamar, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's more like an online show that I do. I try to do it Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. is usually when I come on, in between the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock hour. I'm usually on by then. Usually if I'm not going to make it, I'll make an announcement or whatever. But it's usually Monday through Friday. If what I say is go to my Facebook page, follow me and turn on your notifications. Same thing on YouTube, because we stream simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. So most of the people are on YouTube though. So if you want to interact with everyone else, you can go to the YouTube and just subscribe to my YouTube, Jamar Milton. You'll be able to find me on YouTube, Jamar A. Milton on YouTube. Also, the link for the event is on my Instagram, like I said, at Jamaar, Jamaar. Everybody follow me on Instagram. That's where you're going to get the most accurate and up-to-date knowledge, is probably on my Instagram and then my Facebook. I usually post on both of those pages at the same time. So if you subscribe to one of them, more than likely you'll end up getting to where you need to go.
So Jamar, at Jamar Milton?
Jamar Milton, yeah. Instagram is just Jamar, Jamaar.
All right.
Facebook is Jamar Milton, yeah.
So Jamar on Instagram, on Instagram.
At Jamar is just at Jamaar. Just put the at Jamaar.
Mm-hmm. And then Jamar Milton on YouTube, correct?
And yes, on YouTube, if you want to find me, it's Jamar Milton. And the Lighthouse is the organization that I started. It's a family. Me and my sister Latifah Foster started this organization, and it's basically individuals that especially on the grassroots level, people are just coming into the consciousness and they need a community. Lighthouse is the perfect community to get you started. It's a bunch of individuals like myself, who just love to learn, and who are charged, with the calling. So if you feel like you're one of those individuals, definitely come and check us out. If you need a shrine home, definitely check out the Shrine of Ma'at. If you need great material, great study material, or documentaries to look at, definitely check out Happy Film. And this event that they're doing in February, everybody needs to be there, whether you're new to the walk of life or you've been in there and you're seasoned. You need to be at this event, or at the least streaming it, because you're going to miss out on a lot by not being at this. Like we check in every year, whether it's the Guardians of the Ankh, events like this, Feast of Sekhmet, all these different things are spaces where a lot of the priestesses come together, and the scholars, come together and, bounce ideas off of one another and create future engagements of what's going to happen in the future. Like, this is the community. And like I told you, it's very, very small. This
is it, y'all.
What you seeing with the scholars that you see, all the names that we named, they already ain't pretty much too many we left out. You know what I'm
Fact.
saying? That's official anyway. You know what I'm saying? There are a
That's
lot of different
official.
people that, yeah, there's culture vultures in any movement, right? But you know the real ones when they step in the room. You know who the light is in the room. You know who the ones that are movers, the shakers, the ones that are really doing things in the community and abroad on the continent. You know, the ones that's important too. It's not just about what you're doing here in the States, but those who go back and forth to the continent and make sure that their liaisons and their connection to the continent is very, very important, because in the latter days when it hits the fan, you know, the first shall be last. And at some point in time, we all gonna have to return home and have to deal with that situation. So, you know, make sure that end game, that you make sure that you're developing a relationship with the continent. And these individuals will help you to do that. You're going to need them to guide you through that process. You don't want to just be walking out and about in different parts of Africa and not knowing what you're doing. You're going to want a guide, somebody there to tell you, you know, how to move, you know, and that's going to empower you. So,
Well, Jamar, thank you so much for being on here. Are there any more questions? I just looked through. I didn't see any questions. Please hit us up on the Cash App. Just like we say, we don't do this for money, but we need money to do this. Mine is at Yoga Girl Sai. Jamar, what's your Cash App?
it's Jamar A. Milton. Jamar A. Milton.
If you learned something, hit it up at Jamar A. Milton. Okay. All right.
And if you find something that I didn't mention that you think is of interest, definitely hit me up. Hit me in my inbox, slide in the DM, let me know. You know what I mean?
Right.
I need, because here's the thing, like I told you, knowledge is infinite. It's
That's
infinite,
right.
right? Like Jamar Milton doesn't know it all. Like if I had to tell anybody, like we just now really tapping into this thing as to what the extent it can really go. We're figuring out the right questions to ask right now. You know, before it was like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's a Zodiac, but that ain't where it ends. Right?
Right.
We're just now starting to figure out the right questions to ask. And we now have to do the work of proving this, right? That these ancestors knew this. And the only way that they could have known this is if they monitored it for a specific period of time before they
That's right.
realized that cycles were happening. Right?
Monitored with precision, with
precision.
and exactness.
How long, right, did it take for them to realize? So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
you guys, your work, I wouldn't be able to do it in a lifetime. You know, I'm 43 years old. There's only but so much work I can do in a lifetime. We need more people to be walking this walk and taking this seriously.
That's
as
right.
as obsessed as I am, you got to take it seriously, right? Go that
Datron,
extra mile that other people won't go.
you the next scholar, Datron. You. It's
Facts.
you. Where's
It's
the camera?
you.
It's you. Where? Boom. It's you.
It's you.
You starting
You know?
tonight.
I remember when people would tell 8 years ago, people were telling me that. And I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever. I was more focused on learning the same way you are. I was just focused on learning. And I remember my best friend, he was telling me like, yo, bro, I see you doing those things with, you know, this scholar and that scholar. But I'm like, whatever. That wasn't even my, you know, my focus. It's about learning, right? So as long as you stay on that course, you stay on that path, you're going to keep growing. And eventually you're going to be that person. People are going to be asking you questions. How did you figure out what you figured? How did you learn what you learned?
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't put the time in, it ain't going to happen. You see what I'm saying? We could put all the
Period.
tools in front of you. We could put all the tools in, tell you what it's about. But it's up to you to take that extra mile. Go on the trips. You know, I think Happy Film throw a trip too, right? Kemet to Kemet, Shrine of Ma'at throws trips, and Fadishi throws trips. There's a lot of scholars out here, a lot of elders. You know, I've thrown trips in the
About to
past.
say, Jamarco, he does it
But as
too.
you see, I'm more quick to point out, you know, the other people that's doing the work, because, like I said, I consider myself, even still as a teacher, I'm still a student. I know that there's elders around here that I sit at the foot at. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
I have tapes and tapes, boxes and boxes of tapes of elders. See what I'm saying? That I see that I sit at the foot at, you know, and I don't take that lightly.
Don't take it lightly.
I do not take that lightly. That's a privilege to be able to sit at the feet. Like when I hear certain people that mention, they say, yeah, you know, I sat at the foot of John Henry Clark. I'll be jealous.
Right.
I'll be like, what? You sat at the foot, you know what I mean? That John Henry Clark, that's it's level. Shake Auntie D out. I wish I could have been in their classrooms. You know what I'm saying? My first time being in a lecture was actually it was a debate and nothing actually happened. And then from there, I ended up at a lecture with Ashwa Kwesi. That was my first time at a lecture ever. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take that lightly. I really cherish the elders. You know, I'm over at Baba Heru's shop spending a whole lot of money. Y'all see this all Baba Heru. I don't play. I support the elders. I place no games when it comes to the elders. One day we gonna be elders, and we gonna want that same love. You know what I'm saying? From the
I
ones
also
that's
have
carrying
to,
the torch.
I gotta also say, Yasir Rahotep has revealed so much about the origin of ancient African yoga, Kemetic yoga, with
Yes.
proof. And his is a name that doesn't get mentioned often because it's not, because it's just not just yoga, but it's yoga based, and it's not like history separate from yoga. But just like everything that we've done, there's history in everything, and that includes yoga. So, Yasir Rahotep is an elder, and he's also very wise, not just about yoga, not just about yoga, but Kemet and history as well. So Yasir Rahotep as well, him too. I got to throw him in. I love him. I'm a certified Kemetic yoga teacher, and so I'm a little bit biased. But what I'm saying is true, so it doesn't matter if I'm biased or not.
And don't be surprised in the future if these names that you're hearing that are not getting the attention that they deserve, eventually they will, because eventually we're going to have to go back to that space. We don't have really a choice. Shadow work is not that important yet, right? The terminology is just starting to grow on people. Yoga is one of those things where you're dealing with shadow work. That's an inner work, right? That's not something that you're necessarily doing for other people, right? As opposed to doing it for yourself, that self growth, right? So many people haven't tapped into that yet. Once you start to get into this, you realize, okay, knowledge of self is really about empowering myself, right? And there are things that I need to do to be at my best to do that. Yoga is one of those things.
You ain't
Right?
lying.
Your health is wealth, right? Living a healthy lifestyle, and in America, healthy living is just not it, right? It's not the thing. Shadow work is not it. So we're now in this age of information. Like I said, we're sifting through and we're figuring out what's important, what is wise versus all the information that we have out here. There's all different sorts of eating habits. There are people that there's dietary systems that'll tell you that you should be eating tofu, right? Tofu's good, right? They'll tell you tofu's good for you. You know, there's levels to this, right? There's people that are vegetarian, yeah, but you eat Impossible burgers. It's like
Right.
there's there's levels.
I'm gonna jump in on this. I gotta jump in on Impossible Burgers and the other one. The point of being a vegetarian is to eat more. What's that word? I can't remember. Oh, vegetables. The point of being a veg is to eat more vegetables and to eat more real food and hopefully grow your own food. It is not to imitate a meat eating diet by eating fake meat that's processed. You're
Yes,
introducing foreign, only they know what, into your body. Like,
organisms.
people, come on. There's another one. There's Impossible Burger, and then there's the other. What's the other one? See, I don't eat it, so I don't even
It's that
know.
tofu is what is it? Soy
But
and
it's
Impossible
another
burgers
it's
and
another burger that I'm gonna Google it. But you shouldn't be eating it. Eat some vegetables. Fall in love with like sauteed. Like, you can take some kale, clean it, take the stem out, massage it. You know what I'm saying? What kind of oil
Beyond
you
Beef.
want?
Yeah, that's it. Beyond
Have
Beef.
have it Beyond Beef. Thank you. Yeah, Beyond Meat.
Beyond
Thank
Meat.
you. And have a dope salad with chickpeas, alfalfa sprouts. You can put like seeds in there.
Almond
You can
milk too. That
put
gotta go. Somebody said almond milk. Listen, ain't none of those milks made out of almonds. I guarantee you that. I promise you. Almonds don't lactate. Okay, so almonds don't do that, and there is no milk coming from any of those nuts. I promise.
what they do is they take those nuts, they soak them in water, and then they squeeze out like what is left. Okay, so it's
Right.
really like watery,
Milk.
like almondy water is what it is. It's not
Basically.
milk. Okay, so you can make it creamy based upon the consistency of almond like pulp, if you will, which there's really no pulp because it's not citrus, but that's in it. So like basically you're just having water that has a lot of almond soaked in
And
it.
yes, Sebi did say stay away from almonds. He said they have arsenic in it. He said the best thing is the walnut. Walnut is the only true nut, is what um, Dr. Sebi said. That's if those for those of you who believe in Dr. Sebi's work, that's what he said.
And Dr. Sebi too. He has knowledge. See, we and
Yes.
Dr. Layla Africa. You know,
Mhm.
those are scholars as well. So
Later Africa was incredible. Incredible. I mean, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Layla Africa and Dr. Sebi, two of our most incredible, incredible scholars about nutrition.
Dr. Asar Hapi, Queen of Fua.
Oh, come
Um,
on. Yeah, Queen of Fua.
so you know, these are again, we forget some because we have a lot, but if you get in this
Mhm.
circle, you're gonna see these people again. So I don't think that there are any new questions, and we've been on for 2+ hours. Thank you guys. Today was a nice lively show. We had some really good comments in the chat. You know how to reach me. You can follow me. I'm Yoga Girl Sai on Facebook, Yoga Girl Sai on Instagram, Yoga Girl Sai on YouTube, Yoga Girl Sai on Facebook, Yoga Girl Sai on Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle. Okay? I'm Yoga Girl Sai, period. I also have a space that I'm going to be reopening. It's online. It's on Instagram. It's called Black Man Meditate. It is only for Black men. You must be Black and you must be a man, period. And I will do we will video chat so I know that you a Black man, period. And I keep this space for Black men because there are not a whole lot of spaces for Black men, and there's so much energy against bringing Black men together to learn about themselves, to do that shadow work, to do this breathing, to take time for themselves to deal with the stress that's been at them. That's the space that I'm creating and going to continue to hone. So if you're a Black man, this space is for you. Black Man Meditate. It's private. Go to hey, somebody started following me. Thank you, Romy. I appreciate that. So anyway, yeah. So Jamar, I have Jamar Milton on YouTube and at Jamar on Instagram. And I'm gonna keep it real. You can just Google Jamar and you're gonna
Yeah.
find him. You could
Yes.
just Google Jamar. You can find them. You can Google your girl Yoga Girl Side too
It's a
while
fact.
we're talking about it.
I promise y'all on the right network. Y'all with the right ones. I
You with the
promise you.
right
You
ones.
heard?
We here. So also we have the 3 millennia of excellence and the Black history class. That's at the Center for Ma'at.com. Again, you can just Google the Shrine of Ma'at, follow us on Ascension, it'll be there. You've got Happy Films with the event that's happening. And you can Google all this stuff. We had links put up, so that'll be happening soon in February. And who else did we shout out? Oh, the Earth Center for the calendars. Okay, Google the Earth Center. I think theirs is actually the Earth Center, but again, Google it. Their website will come up, get you those really pretty calendars. That those calendars is a really good entry point. It just really is. It's totally worth it. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions, you can hit me up. You can hit up Jamar. You can hit up Happy Film. Make sure to use Jamar's affiliate link though. So go to the link we put in for Jamar so he can, get what he, all of that or whatever. Okay. So I just want to thank you all for being a part of Tuesday Talk. We had hella endorsements at the end this time. We endorsed like 11 people, but I
That's
hope
the
y'all.
community, man.
It
You know,
is.
it's
It's the
important. That's what
community.
the work is for. Absolutely.
That's right.
Spread the
And as
wealth.
you can see, we work in concert with each other. I learned from Jamar. We all help each other out or whatever, and it's all good. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Next Tuesday is going to be our last Tuesday talk for 2022, and it's going to be with Jabari. We're going to do our fourth and final installment of the Great Eras of Kemet, the 4-part. the fourth one is going to be next Tuesday. Okay. And then we're going to start fresh in 2023. I've got some great folks lined up and I hope to see you. I know I'll see you soon. I want to thank you guys for supporting Tuesday Talk. I absolutely love doing Tuesday Talk. I learned so much. I get to meet the dopest people. And occasionally people shout me out. They be like, what's up, Abut Seshat? I be like, how y'all doing? And I appreciate that too. Okay. So, Jamaar, thank you for coming on and dropping all those nuggets of knowledge in the dopest way that you do it. I really appreciate it. Everybody loves listening to what it is you have to say. You're a powerful voice in the community, and really and truly, I'm honored and lucky to have you as my brother.
I appreciate you, sis. Thank you for bringing me on. You know, it's a pleasure to be on here, and I see the work that you're doing and what you're building, and you know, it's just an honor. I'm humbled. I'm grateful to have a relationship with you. It's honest. It's awesome. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Yes. So we're going to say Ankh Ma'at, which means live your life in balance. Okay. Shemin Ma'at, which means Shemin Hotep means go forth in peace. I'm gonna leave y'all with that. And Ankh Udja Seneb, life, prosperity, and health, because we need our life. We need to be prosperous and we need our health. Health is wealth. I love you all, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Shemin Hotep.
Shemin Hotep.